Okay, hello everyone and welcome back to the channel for another Total War video. This time, the Steam Winter Sale 2021 is upon us. And that means Total War games are also on sale. Almost every single Total War game in existence, aside from Warhammer 3, is currently discounted. We're going to go through each one, as well as the DLCs for these games. Aside from the ones that I don't own, of course, I will let you know. And I'm going to give you my thoughts on the discount, whether I think it's worth it, whether I think you should wait till a better sale comes around, whether I think the game just sucks overall. You're going to hear my unvarnished thoughts. So if you're watching this video after the live stream has ended, check the timestamps down below, and you can scrub to whatever game you want to hear my thoughts on. Otherwise, if you're watching this right now live, feel free to leave questions in the chat, and I will get to them in between Total War games. So, without further ado, let's get into the Total War Steam sale, winter sale, of 2021. Starting with Total War Saga Troy. It's currently on a 25% discount. Normally it's $49.99 and now it is $37.49. Do I think it is worth that price? Absolutely not. I definitely do not recommend Total War Saga Troy for $37.50. And this is a game that I like. I've done 2 reviews for it. And they were mostly positive reviews. Although in both reviews I said that I don't think it's a $50 game. I also don't think it's a $37.50 game. That's just the way it is. Sorry. You're going to figure out pretty fast that like me liking a game doesn't necessarily mean I think the game is worth it. And this is definitely Exhibit A of that. It's still a good game, but yeah, it's just not worth $37.50 in my opinion. It doesn't, like, you're going to see when we go through these next titles just what this game is up against. Because if you buy this game for $37.50, you're getting 8 factions, you're getting 2 cultures, and you're getting 1 campaign. And that's it. You're not getting like real mythological creatures. You're not getting like really wacky, zany stuff. You're not getting cool stuff like, Egyptians or sea peoples or anything like that. You're just paying a lot of money for a little bit of game. Don't recommend this for 25% off. There's not much more to say. Good game, but man, that is an insulting discount in my opinion. All right, let's check chat. What's going on? All right, what's going on, LA Ingram? Thanks for being here, man. Sloppy's Lou, what's up? Shiroy says, may or may not already have some stuff in cart based on your DLC guides for Rome 2 and Attila. That's what I like to hear, man. This is live, right? Yes, it is live. James the Eyeball asks, is Rome Remastered any better now? That is a perfect opportunity for me to segue into the next game on the list, and that is Total War Rome Remastered. It is currently on sale, 25% off for $22.50. Do I recommend it for that price? No, I do not. Total War Rome Remastered was not a pretty sight on launch, if you ask me. I made a review on it, and I pretty much slammed it. I think the campaign is pretty good and holds up, but it had horrible battles, in my opinion. The pathfinding was just a disaster. It was a friggin' nightmare. I mean, they had the social distancing formation. You had like the Black Friday, people piling at the gates. It was really just a hellscape. And it ripped the nostalgia goggles right off of my face faster than they've ever been ripped off my face. That said, the most recent patch for this game really did a number on its playability. It is a much better game now than it was back in April. That being said, I still don't think it's worth $22.50. I mean, we're talking about a nice, pretty 4K skin on a 17-year-old game, guys. I mean, this is like twice as much. They're asking twice as much for Rome Remastered as they are for Attila. Look, Rome Remastered is potentially the most moddable Total War game. Okay? We're talking Lord of the Rings total conversions, medieval total conversions. The medieval one's already out, by the way. Chivalry Total War Remastered, created or ported by Gudea Total War, another amazing content creator. Definitely check him out. But yeah, still not worth $22.50. Hate to tell you. It's just not, in my opinion. But it's now at the point where I can say, hey, I recommend this game. It's a good game. But is it worth $22.50? No. Continue waiting for a steeper sale, especially especially if you're a modern, if you came into the series after these games originally released. Like if you started with Rome 2 or Attila or Warhammer 2 or something, there's going to be some things about Rome Remastered that you're like, what the heck am I dealing with? Okay? Like us old people, we really, we take some things for granted. So yeah, not worth it for 25% off. Wait for a steeper sale. Total War 3 Kingdoms. Wait, before I do, let me check the chat here. Sloppy Slew says, I'm only a Rome 2 player, to be honest. Best UI and stuff, in my opinion. All right, Rome 2, I love. Rome 2 is probably my overall favorite Total War game. That being said, a good UI, it does not have, in my opinion. I really don't like Rome 2's UI. Moving on to Total War 3 Kingdoms. Total War 3 Kingdoms is currently 40% off. They're asking $36 for it. It's normally $60. Is this game worth 40% off at $36? Yes, it is. 3 Kingdoms is a great game. I feel like it's kind of an underrated game, honestly. CA infamously shot this game in the back of the head like its name was Old Yeller back in May at this point, I think it was. May or June. And I absolutely went off my rocker raging about it. Probably my most unhinged video I ever made was absolutely destroying CA for them for what they did to 3 Kingdoms. But meta stuff like that aside, don't let that distract you from the fact that 3 Kingdoms is a great game. If you're a historical enjoyer and you hate single entity stuff, right? Like I hate one-man army crap, you can still like 3 Kingdoms. Records mode. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. You heard it here first. I just played a records mode campaign as UN Shao a few months ago. I live streamed some of it here on the channel. Absolutely a totally playable game in records mode, and it just feels like any other historical Total War game, except the campaign is so much better than what your normal generic vanilla Total War experience is like. Diplomacy is actually a thing. The population mechanics have returned. The character traits and interactions are completely different in this game compared to other Total War games. You have 3 generals per army instead of just 1. There are a lot of awesome things about this game. One thing I really liked that I didn't like in the beginning is the Wuxing system. And you could see it here in the screenshot, how these units here are color-coded. Everything in this game is color-coded. The traits, the characters, the buildings, the technologies. It's this cool, web system of harmony where things synergize and things are certain things counter each other and certain things synergize with each other. I didn't like it at first. I was like, oh, what is this? I don't want to have to color-code things. But over time, it really fit with the theme of this game. And another thing, too, that took me a while to get into was the game's aesthetic. I know nothing about Chinese history, really. It's a huge blind spot in my historical repertoire, and so I knew nothing about the 3 Kingdoms period, so that was a big barrier for me. But once I really ground down and suffered through the learning curve, there is a great game waiting underneath that learning curve. Definitely recommend this game for $36. And one of my hottest takes, I believe, is that if Medieval 3... See, when you ask somebody about Medieval 3, what they usually say is, I'm excited for it, I want it, or, nah, I don't want it, they're going to screw it up. Well, here's my thoughts on Medieval 3. If Medieval 3 is just a reskinned 3 Kingdoms records mode with some crusading mechanics and some religion mechanics and some more events to spice things up, we're in good shape. That's my opinion. 3 Kingdoms is a solid game. If you can get past the monoculture issue and the lack of real unit diversity, you're gonna have a good time. Has my recommendation for sure. Although not here, it doesn't. Let me just see what my Steam review said. Sucks to thumb this down because the game itself is good, but CA abandoned the game after only 2 years. Bugs remain that will now never be fixed, and promised content wasn't delivered. This type of betrayal of consumers represents what's wrong with AAA games that cannot be rewarded. Feels bad, man. Yes, it does. All right, let's go over the DLC. So this is the game that I probably have the least DLC for. I own... Wait a minute. Yeah, I own the Yellow Turban Rebellion. It looks like I own more DLC than I actually do. Yeah, because it's the free LC that I have. So I have the Yellow Turban Rebellion, I have the Blood Pack, and I have... That's it. Oh, no. Yeah, that's it. And out of all those, I only recommend the Blood Pack. Look, mostly negative, right? Here's the thing about blood. I think it's bullshit that we have to pay for blood. I don't really buy the flimsy excuse that, oh, well, you know, we got to sell it separate so we can keep the T for teen rating. I don't know if I believe that. Maybe it's true. It just comes off as pretty cynical and money grabby to me. That being said, look, I need blood in my games. You know, it just adds to the immersion for me. I zoom in, I watch the fights, I want blood. That being said, do I recommend the Yellow Turban Rebellion DLC? No, I do not. The Yellow Turbans don't feel good to play. They're cool. I think the Yellow Turbans historically are just absolute giga chads, but they're just like, it cuts out. When you play the Yellow Turbans in this game, you don't get to use diplomacy because everybody and their mother hates you. And diplomacy is such a huge part of Three Kingdoms and why it's fun. So I don't recommend it. Yeah, and unfortunately, I can't recommend any of the other DLCs. I will say that if you go and read the reviews for some of them, a lot of bugs seem to exist in these DLC campaigns, so definitely keep that in mind. I just realized I didn't do the DLCs for Troy, so let me just do that real quick. So, for Total War Saga Troy, we have Blood and Glory, Amazons, Mythos, Ajax and Diomedes, and Rhesus and Memnon. Now, which one of these do I think it... Actually, wait a minute. None of these are on sale. Okay, so none of these get my recommendation then. That makes it easy. All right, cool. Yeah, not a single one of these aside from the most recent one is on sale. That's a joke. That's a shame. Dude, I hate this. I love... Troy is a good game. But $25 for Mythos? Nah. It's no way. Absolutely not. Moving on. Let's check chat. Genesis, what's up, man? What's going on, Seleucus? David says 3K is a good game. There are also a lot of good mods. Completely agree. Did I say Did I say Japanese history when I was talking about Three Kingdoms? Jesus Christ. All right. Yeah, it's Chinese history. I must have been thinking about Shogun too. Floppy's Lou says, I mean, I have heard people don't like its UI and stuff, but I prefer its units, its towns and stuff to medieval. Maybe I just like Rome's theme and time set. Also, the non-main general armies I like. Fair enough. Big Mac says, in my opinion, all 3K's DLCs are pretty good. Genesis says, you're probably gonna hate me, but for $10, I recommend Thrones. Well, let's move on now. Another good segue. Thrones of Britannia, a Total War Saga, is currently on sale for $10, 75% off. For those of you who don't know, Thrones of Britannia is this bite-sized lunchable of a game set during the Viking period of Anglo-Saxon English history. Do I recommend it for $10? No, I do not recommend this game for $10 unless you are a huge fan of the time period. If you're a huge fan of Anglo-Saxon history and Viking history, specifically in England, you'll probably find some way to enjoy this game, at least for a few campaigns. The things that I like about this game are the political intrigue events and things like that. I like that. Things I don't like about this game are the campaign map, the lack of garrisons for towns, so you end up having like whack-a-mole battles with the AI, the just absolute flaccidity of the AI in general. It's just not challenging. There's a lot to not like about Thrones of Britannia. I don't want to turn this into a rant video, but just to keep it short and sweet, I don't recommend it for $10. But if you really like Anglo-Saxon history, it's only $10. You might enjoy it. Oh, and as far as DLC, there's only the Blood DLC, so I'm not even going to go there. Let's check chat again. What's the best Total War for a Let's Play stream? Probably Warhammer 2, because that's the most popular Total War game. And speaking of Warhammer 2, we have Total War Warhammer 2. All right. Total War Warhammer 2 is currently 66% off at $20.39. Do I think it is worth it at that price? Absolutely. Total War Warhammer 2 is a fantastic game. Does it have problems? Yes. Is the campaign map gameplay too shallow for my liking? Yes. Is there an issue with ranged being too powerful? Yes. That being said, those are minor gripes compared to all of the amazing things that this game has to offer. I know, this is a spicy one. Some people are really diehard haters of Warhammer 2. Hey, I don't know what to tell you, man. I had a blast. I had no interest. I'll throw you a bone. I had no interest in Total War Warhammer when it was announced. Okay? I was a boomer about it. I was playing Attila, Age of Charlemagne at the time, and I was like, I don't want to play Total War. I don't know anything about Warhammer Fantasy. I don't care about that fantasy crap. I'm playing historical. I don't F that. And then 6 months goes by. My friends are playing it. I'm still not playing it because I'm stubborn. And then one of my friends buys it for me. Gifts it to me. He says, hey, stop being stubborn and just play this game. I know you're going to like it. So you spent $60. I had to play it. And guys, I fell in love with the game. This game is just oozing character and like attention to detail as far as like love and respect for the source material. I knew nothing about Warhammer Fantasy before playing Warhammer 1. I didn't care about it. Playing the game made me care about it, just like playing Three Kingdoms made me care about the Three Kingdoms period, just like playing Shogun 2 made me care about the Sengoku Jidai, etc., etc. I mean, it was Age of Empires 2 and Medieval 1 Total War that got me into medieval history as a kid. Video games often inspire me to learn about the things that they're based on. And Warhammer was no different. It's just a game full of character. And Warhammer 2 does everything Warhammer 1 did, but better. Now, the DLC situation for Warhammer is very different from other Total War games. So this is going to be a tough one here. Let me just come right out and say that can you play Warhammer 2 by itself and feel like you're playing a complete game? Yes, you absolutely can. And for $20, I highly recommend it. That being said, if you're asking yourself, hey, is there a mandatory DLC that I need? The answer is there is only one. And that is not in this DLC list. None of these are mandatory. And there's a lot of them here. The only one that's mandatory, excuse me real quick, I have a phone call that I have to take. Dude, I've been talking on mute this whole time, dude. Oh my god, I'm gonna... Alright, anyways, getting back to it. I left off talking about the DLC for Warhammer 2. Yeah, I do not recommend any of these DLC before buying the Mega DLC, which is Warhammer 1. Alright? This is the only must-have DLC for Warhammer 2. Now, you can buy Warhammer 2 and play it and have no problem and feel like you're getting your money's worth for the $20 that it's asking. However, if you really want to buy a DLC, it's got to be Total War Warhammer 1. Okay? Why is that? Because essentially what you're getting with Warhammer 1 is you're getting 4 new races that you don't get any other way. You're also getting a mega campaign. So Warhammer 1 and Warhammer 2 take place in the same world, but they have 2 completely different campaign maps located in completely different sections of that world. But if you own both games, you can play the Mortal Empires campaign, which is both of those continents smashed together in one giant giga campaign, which is awesome. And it's the definitive way to play Warhammer 2, in my opinion. So yeah. Let's go through now with the Warhammer 2 DLC. As long as you guys understand that I don't recommend buying any of these over buying Warhammer 1. I don't care how much you like the Skaven, how much you like the Lizardmen. Go buy Warhammer 1 if you're going to buy anything for Warhammer 2. So let's get into it. Rise of the Tomb Cringe. Is this DLC worth buying? Again, assuming you already own Warhammer 1, yes, it is. I love the Tomb Cringes. Arkin the Black, my boy. Cetra the Imperishable. These guys are undead, Egyptian-themed skelly boys, and they are just an absolute riot to play. They have unique playstyle with the campaign where their units have free upkeep, and it's more like based on army caps. It's a really slow start, but they have a potentially like unstoppable snowbally endgame. Really, really cool thematic faction, and this was like a highlight of Warhammer 2 DLC, in my opinion. Let's see. The Queen and the Crone. Do I recommend this? No, I don't recommend the Queen and the Crone. And I'm a Dark Elf enjoyer, so take it from me. It adds in some cool units, especially for the High Elves. You get some really OP units. I believe the Sisters of Averlorn are only in this DLC. Yes, Sisters of Avalorn for Alariel are absolutely ridiculously strong. But I mean, this is more worth it if you're a High Elf enjoyer, I think, honestly, but still, I don't think it's really worth the $5. I'd put it towards something like the Tomb Kings or the Curse of the Vampire Coast, which we'll get into in a minute. Curse of the Vampire Coast. 50% off for $10. Is this worth it? Yes, it is. This is an awesome faction. It's a bunch of undead zombie pirates with guns and giant cannons. It's just a blast to play. Thematically, they're really cool. You can make like entire like line infantry, like musketeer lines with huge cannons backing them up, and they look like, you know, the Davy Jones people from Pirates of the Caribbean, like how they're all like encrusted with like fish stuff all over them. That's basically what these guys are like. That's their aesthetic, and it's awesome. So yeah, definitely recommend this DLC. They're a ton of fun. All right, Prophet and the Warlock. Do I recommend this DLC? Yes, I do. Especially if you're a Skaven player. If you absolutely hate the Skaven and you have no interest in playing the Lizardmen, then you don't need to buy this DLC. But if you have any interest at all in playing the Skaven, definitely check this DLC out. You get some absolutely meme-worthy things like the nukes. I mean, literal nukes. You can use them on the battlefield, and you can use them on the campaign map to literally one-shot settlements. If you haven't lived until you've one-shotted the Oak of Ages with a nuke, okay, on the campaign map. Look up a video of it. It is like the most satisfying thing in the world. You get this like really janky workshop ability with the Skaven. Clan Scryer, Ikit Claw, that it's just really overpowered, and it's a ton of fun to use. And it's like, you got, if you're going to play the Skaven, just definitely try to have this DLC. The Lizardman gets some stuff too, but this is the Skaven DLC, in my opinion. Hunter and the Beast. Is it worth buying? No idea. I haven't bought it. So, and by bought it, I mean bought it. Apparently, I'm butchering English, in addition to just being muted for 10 minutes. Yeah, I don't know. It just didn't really interest me. I heard Nakai the So what do you get with this? You get Nakai the Wanderer, who is a Lizardman Horde faction, and you get the Hunts Marshal for the Empire, who is this guy with a bow. I don't know. He starts in Lustria and the New World and the Warhammer 2 side of the map. And it just neither of them really interested me. Nakai seemed cool, but people said his campaign sucks. It's got mixed reviews. So I don't know. I didn't buy it. I'm probably still not going to buy it. So take that how you want to take it. Shadow and the Blade. Do I recommend this? Honestly, no. Because, look, your mileage is going to vary here, but if you're going to play the Skaven, if you want to buy a Skaven DLC, definitely buy... Sorry, give me 1 second. Yeah, if you're going to buy the Skaven DLC, just get the Prophet and the Warlock. I'm not personally interested in the sneaky, stabby stuff. And that's what you're getting with Clan Eshin here, with Snikch. He's got some cool mechanics where he goes on missions and stuff, but I don't know, it's just not for me. As far as Malice Darkblade, I thought I was going to like him a lot more than I did. He's, you know, your edgy anime protagonist kind of character. He's really cool, but his mechanics are kind of annoying to deal with. Like his like managing his personality thing, or the demon is what it is. He's got a demon inside of him. I'm telling you, he's like the edgiest character there is. Yeah. So no, I don't really recommend it, honestly. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a Dark Elf player too. That's the funny thing. I like the Dark Elves, but Malice, it's more fun if you confederate Malice as another Dark Elf faction, so... Warden in the Paunch, I've heard good things about, but I don't currently have it, and it's only 33% off. I don't know if I'm going to buy it. I also don't own the Twisted and the Twilight, and I don't plan on buying that for sure, because I don't really have any interest in either of those factions. The Warden in the Paunch, though, both of the factions... So with Warden in the Paunch, you get Eltharion, the Grim, and... for the High Elves, who is just this like Giga Chad, and then you also get Grom the Paunch for the Greenskins. And honestly, like those stone idols, you know, maybe I will pick this up, because I really, when I saw the trailer for this, these stone idols look really cool. But look, guys, I can't recommend you buy anything I haven't already bought and played. So this one's just gonna have to not get a recommendation from me at this time. Silence and the Fury, I do own, but I have barely played it. I don't like the Beastman. So that kind of tells you what I think about it. It's also only 10% off. So look, Beastman players in the chat, you guys can probably give a better recommendation than I can, because I'm super biased against the Beastman. So yeah, that's the Warhammer 2 DLC. Let's go to Warhammer 1's DLC, because again, everything in Warhammer 1, except for the mini campaigns, are playable in Warhammer 2. So here we go. There's fewer DLC to go over, so this should make our lives a little easier. Starting with the Chaos Warriors. Are these guys worth buying for $3.99? No. No, they're not. The Chaos Warriors have an absolute snooze fest of a Horde campaign, okay? They are way more fun to fight as an endgame challenge than they are to play as. Trust me on this one. I know they're only $4. Look, if you're just some edgelord who has to play Chaos, maybe you can justify it, but not a fun campaign for me. So it doesn't get my vote. Call of the Beastmen, no, absolutely not. The Beastmen are good now. They're really strong, but like for a while they were the worst faction in the game. But they're a lot better now, but still I just hate the Beastmen. I have a grudge against those mother effers. So no, I don't recommend Call of the Beastmen. It's also $10. If you're gonna buy a Beastman DLC, probably buy the newer one. Grim in the Grave. is it worth the $5? Well, what do you get with it? You get 2 new playable characters. You get Helman Gorst and Volkmar the Grim. That is, those are legendary lords for the Vampire Counts and for the Empire, respectively. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I own this DLC, and I think I've played Volkmar twice and Helman Gorst 0 times. So, yeah, I don't recommend it. The cool thing about this is you get, like, Regiments of Renown, which are, like, these unique units. Unique versions of existing units. Like, that's kind of what makes this worth it-ish. But, like, no, save your $5, guys, or $4.50. Put it towards a better DLC. The King and the Warlord. This is a DLC that adds in a new Greenskin Lord, Skarsnik, and a new Dwarf Lord, the Clan Ungrund, led by Belagar Ironhammer. Do I recommend this one? That's going to depend. All right, so here's the thing you get. If you're a Dwarf player, yeah, you should probably get this DLC, because the Dwarf units are pretty cool. If you're a Greenskin player, yeah, you should probably get this DLC, because Skarsnik is really cool. But that being said, this one is like teetering for me, because both of their campaigns are really challenging. Clan Ungrund's campaign is, you start with 50% upkeep for all units, like plus 50%, until you recapture a certain settlement. So, like, you're kind of shoehorned into playing a certain way. I don't like it. I played as Clan Ungrund. I beat a campaign as them, and I really didn't enjoy it that much. So that really knocks them down a peg. You're kind of, for me, the value in this DLC is just the new units that you get. But Skarsnik is just really, like, cool and funny as a character. So if you care about that, then this might change your opinion. But yeah, I think this one is just teetering on worth it, honestly. Just for the new units. Like, the Rangers that the Dwarves get are a ton of fun. All right. Next on the list here, we have Realm of the Wood Elves. $10. Is it worth it? My opinion, no. Sorry for the pointy-eared leaf lovers in the chat, but I gotta be honest with you. The whole, like, being rooted... I know they gotta rework. I know they're different now. They're more fun now. I like their roster. I just don't enjoy their campaign. Durthu is an absolute Chad. He's like Treebeard from Lord of the Rings. I mean, he's just like this massive tree who goes around absolutely wrecking shit. But Orion is kind of like whiny and edgy. I'm not a huge Orion fan. And yeah, I don't know. I never got on with the Wood Elves. I can't do it. I'd rather play the High Elves or the Dark Elves any day. So yeah, it doesn't get my recommendation. Not for $10, that's for sure. And now, finally, we have the Norska. At the moment, with the current balancing, again, all the balancing is going to change once Warhammer 3 drops, but currently, Norska is kind of regarded as the worst faction in the entire game. Wasn't always the case, but they've been left behind over time with updates. That said, what do you get with the Norska? You get 2 playable factions. They're like basically like Chaos Viking factions, okay? You get Wolfric the Wanderer, who's this guy. He kind of looks like... what's his name? Tormund from Game of Thrones, the ginger guy, the wildling guy. Yeah, that's kind of what this guy reminds me of. He's a Chad for sure. And then you get Throg, Throg just has my heart, dude. I love Throg. He's the troll guy. He's got a huge hammer. He throws up on people. What's not to love? I'm not gonna lie, guys. I know these guys are terrible, but I'm gonna recommend the Norska. I just have a soft spot for him. This is my video. Forget it. I love him. I love the Norska. It gets my thumbs up. Yeah, it's worth $5. And they're going to be better in Game 3, I'm sure. So, all right. That's it for Warhammer 1 and 2. Now, let me finally check chat again and see what we're dealing with. Wow, I missed a lot. Sloppy's Lou, I'm cringing over Tomb Cringe. Sam Rester says Cetra does not serve. Correct. Voodoo says, I'm sure they're good games for those that like that sort of thing, just not my flavor, or just don't like the flavor. Hey, fair enough. Reject Warhammer and return to Attila Slavic nations. Dude, the Slavic nations are so broken. You already get Malekith. Why do you need another edge elf? Yeah, I mean, then again, you can never have enough edge. Has Thrones been recommended yet? It has been gone over, but I did not recommend it. I said it definitely wasn't worth it unless you have a like huge affinity for that era. Scotty B says it's worth it for the Marcus Wolfhart campaign. He's talking about the Hunter and the Beast. Manny Jack says Nakai is poo poo and dude with a winter coat in a jungle is torture. Snitch can literally kill any faction you want in the late game, but that ability has a 100-turn cooldown after you use it. Yeah, it's like I said, he has some really cool mechanics. That's the Shadow and the Blade DLC. Juan says, I brought Thrones of Britannia. Wish me luck. Good luck, man. Aaron Samet says, the Warden and the Paunch is definitely worth it, both from a high elf perspective and a green skin perspective. All right, maybe I'll pick it up. Kill it in a single ability. Total Warhead, what's up, man? How you doing? He says, only Dark Elf faction I enjoy playing is Malice. Wow, you are a total edgelord contrarian. You know that, man? You are just a masochist. Eltharion is a Chad. Yeah, he is. That voice, though. Total Warhead says Silence and the Fury is worth it. By the way, for those who don't know, Total Warhead is another content creator. He is a exclusively legendary player because he hates himself. He's like total Legend of Total War. So he's played an innumerable amount of Total War Warhammer 2. So he is definitely someone to listen to. He's also played a lot of Total War Saga Troy on Legendary as well. Really good YouTuber. Check him out. He live streams all the time, and he doesn't live stream on mute, which is something that I cannot say for myself currently. David asks, does Thrones have any mods that make it a more expansive campaign? If so, I would be interested. I don't know if I'd say expansive campaign, but the Shield Wall mod definitely deepens the existing campaign. The Terminator, another YouTuber, a Total War content creator, he made a video showcasing the Shield Wall mod. You might want to check that out. David says Warhammer 1 for full map Mortal Empires. Yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Warhammer 1's the only DLC that I can fully recommend for Warhammer 2. If you're gonna buy just one, make it Warhammer 1. Correct answer is to pirate it all, says Ryder. No comment. A shame there are no discounts on Troy at the moment. Yeah, there is a discount, but I don't recommend it for the 25% off. Scryer has boom boom. Yes, yes. All right. Average Gopnik says the Warden and the Paunch is definitely worth it. Big Rock Monster is great. All right, I'll keep that in mind. All right, let's move on to the next game. Medieval Total War Collection. Oh man, this game started it all for me. This was my first ever Total War game. I played it on a Pentium 3. I'm going back in memory lane now, guys, so just bear with me. All right, this game, alongside Age of Empires 2, inspired my love for history and historical strategy games. So I owe a lot to this game. That being said, it has not aged well in a lot of ways. So this game, I bought it just for the nostalgia factor, but I don't recommend it for $2.50. It needs a remaster. Okay? It just does. The controls are clunky. It just hasn't aged well. Just take my word for it, guys. I love the game. I absolutely love it, but no, I don't recommend it. Shogun Total War, same thing. I actually never played Shogun Total War, and I don't even own it. But it's on the same engine as Medieval 1. So I can imagine that it would be just as unplayable, if not maybe even more so, than Medieval 1. Let's hope for remasters on those games. Total War Attila. All right, before we get into this, let me check chat real quick. Zuby4 says, the Troy sale is even worse than usual. Yeah, I was like dumbfounded when I saw that none of the DLC was on sale. Charging Noises Intensify says, imagine playing Troy. I can't imagine it, man. I can't actually imagine it. I like Troy. I know I'm one of the 5 people, but it's a very exclusive group. 1,300 hours in Skaven with the DLC is my favorite by far. Then Vampire counts. Man of Culture, I see. The AoE 2 music plays in my mind at least once a day. Yeah. Have you ever listened, Genesis? Have you played Age of Empires Online, or has anybody played Age of Empires Online? That game has a very good soundtrack. Total War ATTILA. Let's get into it. Let me just crack my knuckles and take a sip of water here, because let me tell you, with Attila's fans, let's just say, all right, in order of fanatical fans, right, for Total War, I would say the most fanatical fans are Shogun 2 fans. They're like CrossFit, vegan, hey, did I ever tell you that I'm a vegan? Did I ever tell you I do CrossFit type of fans? That's Shogun 2 fans, okay? I'm sorry. It's just the truth. I don't make the rules. I'm just telling you how it is. Total War ATTILA would be the next on. No, I would say Medieval 2 is next as far as the cultishness. And then we got Total War ATTILA. All right. That being said, none of that has anything to do with the quality of the games. Total War ATTILA is currently on sale for $11.24. Is it worth it for that? Yes. Yes, it is. Okay? Total War ATTILA hurts me. I'm in a toxic relationship with this game, okay? Because this game should have never been a game. It should have been an expansion pack like Fall of the Samurai was for Shogun 2, for Rome 2. That's what it should have been. Because when they released this game, Rome 2 was still kind of a dumpster fire, all right? And it was like CA was washing their hands, and they were trying to pull a fast one, dumping their old product and getting us to buy the new one. And I was pissed, okay? Because A, Attila ran like shit. And it still runs like shit. That's the number, I'm just going to get it out there. Attila's number one problem is it runs like shit. It feels awful to play because it runs like shit. I don't care if you have a 30,000 GTX, okay? It's going to run like shit. It will always run like shit. The game runs like shit. CA absolutely screwed the pooch with this game's performance. That said, it also has like awesome features like fertility, the plague and sanitation stuff. It introduced hordes back into the series for the first time since Barbarian Invasion. And I think Medieval 2 had hordes as well with the Mongols. So yeah, let's go with Medieval 2. But yeah, it has a lot of stuff going for it. And by far the coolest thing about Attila for me is its theme and its setting. I think this is CA at their absolute best when it comes to crafting a world and world building. This game absolutely sells the apocalyptic aesthetic that it's going for better than any other game, including my pride and joy, Medieval Total War 1. This game is worth $11.24 just even if you play it one time. Just suffer through the trash FPS just to experience those epic cutscenes with the like cool, edgy Bible quotes and the encroaching climate change and the feeling that everything's fallen to pieces and just trying to hold on. It feels awesome. It's an experience like no other Total War game has. The closest thing to it would be the Chaos Invasion and Warhammer 1. But even that doesn't sell it. Everything about this game wants you to be afraid. It wants you to have anxiety. It wants you to be terrified of what's coming, to make you feel like the best days are behind you and it's all downhill from here. And it succeeds. It succeeds. The game is hard and frustrating and a grind. And it's unique in that sense. Now, I don't have a problem with that. I think the game is awesome for its epic difficulty. The problem is that the game is also a grind to play because of how just terrible it runs. The turn times. You could go watch Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King Extended Edition in between turns. You'll be good to go. Okay? The FPS, once the melee joins, goes down to a crawl. Like we're still working with Windows 95. Like, it's a joke, guys. The performance is a joke. Anyways, yeah, it's worth it. Let's check out the DLC now. Viking Forefathers, 66% off for $3. Do I think it's worth it? No. Viking Forefathers is dog shit. Don't buy it. I did a DLC tier list with a comprehensive review of every single one of these DLCs for Attila, as well as for Total War Rome 2. But I'm just going to briefly go over my thoughts here. Viking Forefathers is dog shit. It's not worth it. The factions that it comes with are these like Germanic offshoots, aka the Nordic factions, but like they're just not good, you know? You get the Danes, the Jutes, and the Geats, and you're better off just playing the Saxons or the Franks, you know, from the base game. Just, it's not worth it. Celts, is it worth it? Yeah, it is. Definitely. Celts adds in the Picts, the Abdani, and the Caledoni, and it gives you a playable British Isles faction other than the Western Roman Empire. So for that alone, it's worth it. They also have like cool play styles, like the Picts are all about ambushing, kind of like the Suebi are in Rome 2. Yeah, they stepped up their game with the Celts. Definitely think it's worth the $3. Langobards or Longbeards culture pack. Is it worth it? This one is teetering on the edge. I mean, because it's just more Germanic faction spam. That's the thing. You know, the Celts offer you a brand new culture group that you can't get in the base game. You can already play, you know, Germanic faction on the left 3 in the base game. All right, it's just Germanic spam. That said, it's not a bad DLC. I would say this one is like right down the middle. If you really want to, honestly, I'm going to say no. Actually, I'm just going to say just it's not worth it. Just stick with the base game Germanic factions. If you're really just some Germanic stan, like you got one of the Viking tattoo on your back or something, then maybe you'll buy it. But just, yeah, otherwise, I don't recommend it. Why? Because one of the factions, the Alemanni, are they're really cool aesthetically, but they're kind of just shit. So like 2 of the factions are good, but one of them is just kind of bad. So I don't know. I don't recommend it. Just play with the base game Germanic factions. Blood and Burning, yeah, I think it's worth it, honestly. I know, mostly negative, I get it. But paying for blood, we've already talked about how cringe that is. But the truth is, guys, I need blood in my campaign. I mean, in my battles. And, like, if you're gonna have... If any game needed blood, it was this game. With the aforementioned rant I went on about how, like, awesome the dark aesthetic is. Total War Attila probably has the best blood pack aside from, like, Total War Saga Troy. And Troy only gets points because it has like blood floating down the river and stuff, like dynamic stuff like that, which is really cool. Otherwise, the blood just looks like ketchup. But the blood in this game, or in this in this DLC, like you get like the decapitations and dismemberment and stuff. It's like basically what Rome 2's blood pack is, but just better in every single feasible way. So I actually do recommend the blood pack for Attila. I still think it's bullshit that you got to pay for it, but that's another story. Last Roman campaign pack. Is it worth 66% off at $5.77? I would say it's a good campaign, but if you're going to buy a campaign pack, if you're working on a limited budget, I would say no. Because we have Age of Charlemagne, which is the much better campaign pack. It's one of the best DLCs for any Total War game, but we'll get to that in a second. So I would say I didn't enjoy Last Roman nearly as much as Age of Charlemagne, and they cost the same. So I'm going to thumbs down Last Roman and thumb up Age of Charlemagne. Empire of Sands. There's something about CA and making desert factions that they just nail it, like every time. The Tomb Cringe in Warhammer 2, absolutely epic. The Desert Kingdoms culture pack in Rome 2, absolutely epic. And the Empire of Sands culture pack in Attila, absolutely epic. You get the Himyar, Axum, and the Tenukids, and they all play very differently. They get these like cool event chains and unique buildings and things like, and of course unique units. But they also have like a heavy focus on religion. And then the Tenukids are a horde faction. Now I don't really like the Tenukids, to be honest with you. I didn't enjoy them. I tried playing them a few times. I'd rather just play the White Huns. But I really enjoyed Axum. And Himyar is cool too. So yeah, I definitely think these guys are worth the $3 they're asking for it. And lastly, all right, well, not lastly, let's just really quick go with Age of Charlemagne. So Age of Charlemagne, do I recommend it? Yes, thumbs up, like I said earlier. What it does is it adds in a new campaign map. You can kind of see the map here on the bottom right. I know it's a little zoomed in, but It adds a map of Western Europe with about like 100 and something regions or so. It fast forwards the start date to the late 700s AD, and it's about Charlemagne's rise to power. You can play as the Kingdom of Mercia in the English or the British Isles. You can play as the Franks, obviously. You can play as the Vikings. You can play as the Emirate of Cordoba. You can play as the Lombards. You can play as the Avars. It's a really good DLC, guys. It's like the closest thing to an official medieval game that we've had since Medieval 2. I definitely recommend Age of Charlemagne. Like, this DLC is so good that it's almost like, you know, you could compete. It can compete with the Grand Campaign. The only thing the Grand Campaign does better than Age of Charlemagne is its scale and its, like, theme, in my opinion. All right. And lastly, we have the Slavic Nations Culture Pack. Is this DLC worth $3? No, I don't think it is. Yeah, you get this. You get a new culture. You get the Slavs. But here's the thing, guys. It was super lazily done. Like the Slavic armies. Okay, they get their unique event and stuff, which is cool. But the Slavic armies have Germanic names. There's like they're really overpowered with the poison arrows. I just didn't enjoy these guys like I thought I would. You know, it was a really big shame when these guys came out hot on the heels of Age of Charlemagne because it was a big step down in quality, in my opinion. Wait. Okay, yeah. They did come out after I'm like, hold on a second. Am I amnesia? Yeah, no, these guys came out after Age of Charlemagne, and it was a disappointment. So I don't recommend them. I know somebody in the chat swore by them earlier, but I don't recommend the Slavic nations. Let me get to the chat because I see it's popping off. Ah, Catalyst joined. What's up, man? What about a Hello Kitty tattoo on the back? Let's see. When will you talk about Rome 2 stuff? Gyros Wonders? Very soon, my friend. We're getting there. It's always the Africans and Arabian factions that CA does well with. Yeah, I know. I'm telling you. Which one mod is best for Attila? Oh, man, there are so many good mods for Attila. All right. Let's move on. Ah, Rome 2 Emperor Edition. Okay. So, this game is currently on sale for 75% off for $15. Is it worth $15? You already know the answer to this, guys. Absolutely. Rome 2. This channel is Rome 2 Central. Like, it's Grand Central Station for Rome 2 content. That's my main focus. Absolutely love this game. I have a humiliatingly large 2150 hours in this game. I've modded the hell out of it, like creating mods myself. I've obviously downloaded hundreds and hundreds of other people's mods. I love this game. Is this game perfect? Absolutely not. Does this game have huge flaws? Yes. All right. The AI is shit. The UI is shit. You know, the game is just too easy. I recommend playing this game on one step above difficulty that you're used to in other Total War games. It's a very, very easy Total War game. That said, I love this game. And especially if you're willing to download a few mods, this game becomes amazing. Yeah, I know a lot of people, this is a really divisive game for some people. You know, this is where it all ended and this is where it all went downhill. And let me tell you a story, young Padawan of a time before Rome 2 and all that bullshit. But I'll tell you, I played this game while launch and it was a dumpster fire. But it really grew into its shoes over the years. I really like it. So there's not much else to say about it other than when you pay $15 for this game, you're probably getting the most content out of any Total War game for your dollar other than Warhammer 2. You're getting 2 full-sized grand campaigns with different factions. You have the classical antiquity era that this game is set in lends itself to having a ton of visual and gameplay variety. So you have like the Parthians in the east with their heavily armored cataphracts. You have the Iberians in the west with their guerrilla hit and run tactics. There's just so much to love about the classical antiquity as an era. And I mean, the setting really does carry this game, frankly. The setting and just the breadth of content. There's so much here to enjoy. So yeah, if you're an enjoyer of ancient history at all, if you have any interest in it, I definitely recommend picking this game up for $15. You will probably enjoy it. That's what I can say. It's again, keep your expectations in line. Understand that the AI is pretty bad, but if you can get past that, there's a lot to love here. I certainly love the game. Let's go through the DLC because I don't love all the DLC. Just checking up on chat here. Genesis says, happy bring up your community patch. Yeah. So again, if you're willing to do mods, I made a mod that takes a lot of the difficulty, let's call it features from Attila and from Warhammer and ports it into Rome 2, as well as AI changes directly ripped from those games. And with the end goal of making the game more up to speed with Attila and Warhammer 2 in terms of difficulty and AI performance. Again, we talked yesterday on stream about overhauls being hit or miss for some people, because people, like for me, a lot of times with an overhaul, I'll like 80% of it, but then there's like 20% that I hate and I can't get rid of it, and it drives me crazy. So that's why I made my own overhaul. Anyways, yeah, that's a self plug. Thanks for reminding me, Genesis. Appreciate that. Let's get into the DLC. Blood and gore. Is it worth it? I mean, not really, to be honest. I think Rome 2 has one of the like worst blood and gore packs, because here's the thing. Rome 2 has matched combat, and the matched combat deaths look good, right? They're bloody, they're gory and stuff, but there's also these like heart attack deaths where units will just kind of swing at the air and then someone will drop dead. And when those happen, there's no blood. So it's really jarring to look at like, oh, this guy just lost his arm, but then this guy over here just kind of fell over. It really bothers me, and there's no way around it. And yeah, so I don't know. I don't really recommend it. It doesn't add as much to this game as it does to Total War Attila. Nomadic Tribes Culture Pack. Do I recommend it for $3.05? No, I do not recommend it. The Nomadic Tribes are absolutely painful to play. Basically, they all play the same, you know, with a few differences in their traits and stuff, but they're basically just Horse Archer factions. Horse Archer and Shock Cavalry, which, look, I'm biased against them because I hate those types of factions, but I do like the Parthians and the Armenians. These guys just don't feel like nomads. They feel like a regular faction with a gimped roster, because you're not like a horde going around terrorizing people. You're just a normal faction conquering other territories, but with a horde-like horse army. And it feels awful. Playing siege battles with these guys feels awful. Yeah, I don't know. These guys were F tier. I gave them F tier in my tier list. So I don't recommend them at all. Greek States Culture Pack for $3.05. Is it worth it? Honestly, no, it's not. And I like the Greeks. Who doesn't like the Greeks, right? But like, here's the problem. Athens has the most vanilla, bland roster ever. They have a cool starting position, but their roster is just super bland. Epirus is like a worse version of Macedon. And then you have Sparta, which is cool. Sparta actually does have like a pretty unique roster. However, they're super boring to play because it's just like hoplite grind fests. So I don't know. I don't really recommend the Greek States Culture Pack, guys. It's just, I mean, it's only $3, but still, if you have to play as the the pop culture Greeks, then you'll probably get enjoyment out of it. But like, you can get this Hellenic Greek hoplite experience in the base game for free by playing Macedon, the Seleucids, or Egypt. You know what I mean? So I just don't recommend it. Plus, it was a pre-order DLC, but I'm trying not to hold it against it. Hannibal at the Gates campaign pack. Is this worth it for $5.70? Yes, it is. This campaign pack is a ton of fun. So, not only does it add in a unique scenario of the Punic Wars between Hannibal Barca and Scipio Africanus, but it also adds in Syracuse as a playable faction, not only in this DLC, but also in the Grand Campaign. So that's cool. Syracuse has an identical roster for with Athens, which feeds into my belief that the Greek States DLC isn't really worth it, because I think you're better off just getting Hannibal at the Gates and then playing Syracuse if you want to play as a Greek city. That's my opinion. Hannibal at the Gates is a ton of fun. I've played it multiple times. If you're a co-op player or like a head-to-head campaign enjoyer, this is one of the best DLCs for that setup. So definitely recommend Hannibal at the Gates. It's fantastic in my opinion. Friends and Genesis are decrying my slamming of the Greek city-states DLC. Look, guys, I know the Greeks are awesome. Like, I get it. Trust me. But like, I don't. They kind of just aren't that good. You're kind of just getting more of the same with that DLC. I just feel like you're better off putting that $3 towards a different DLC. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Do I like the Greek cities? Yes, but I'm trying to be realistic here. You're getting, you already have Hellenic factions in the base game. You have Massilia for free, which is that Hellenic Greek city state that's like south of Gaul. You have them, you know, you have, and then of course you have the successor kingdoms who all get hoplites and stuff. So it's like, it's not really worth, I can't justify it. That's what I'm trying to say here. Caesar and Gaul, is this worth the $5.77? This one's going to completely depend on how much you give a shit about the history of Caesar's conquest of Gaul, because in terms of campaign packs, this one is vastly inferior to Hannibal at the Gates, in my opinion. Why? Because you have far fewer factions to pick from, and by fewer, I mean there's just less diversity. You have Gaul, or sorry, you have the Arverni, you have the Suebi, those are the Celts and the Germans, respectively. You have the Romans, and I think there's a fourth faction. I don't even remember. But you don't. The politics system is completely stripped out of this campaign. It doesn't exist. So there's no like internal faction management other than corruption and public order. It has way less replayability than Hannibal at the Gates. And once you've played a campaign as the Romans and as one of the barbarian factions, you've seen it all. You've seen everything this DLC has to offer. So I don't recommend it for $5.77. I would save your money and just buy either Hannibal at the Gates or one of the others that we're going to get to in a second. Let's see. Beasts of War for $1. Oh, no. Oh, how could I skip this one here? Pirates and Raiders. Pirates and Raiders Culture Pack. It adds 3 factions, the RDA, the Odrysian Kingdom, and Tylis, which are Balkan factions. And it costs $3. Do I think it's worth that money? No, absolutely not. I gave this a D tier in my tier list because, look, are they unique? Yes, they are pretty unique factions, but are they fun? Only Tylis feels like a fully fledged like faction that you can really suffer through 200 turns and not want to kill yourself playing. The Odrysian Kingdom has like really cool not Falksmen, but Romphea type 2-handed sword units. They're a really cool like rush faction, but that's all they do. And you're using the same units the entire campaign, and their start is extremely, extremely painful. Yeah, and then the RDA just have a not only do they have a terrible start, but they have pretty terrible units as well. Now, with the big exception of their hoplites. Their hoplites are really strong. They're Illyrian hoplites. But I mean, I can't stand the RDA. I really can't stand playing the Odrysian Kingdom either for more than like 30 turns. Tylis does feel pretty good, to be fair. But yeah, I don't recommend these guys at all. I don't recommend spending $3 on them. Definitely don't. Again, we're talking no mods, all things considered vanilla. Yeah, not worth the $3. All right, Beasts of War. Is it worth $1? Honestly, I'd say so. Yeah. Camel cataphracts are super badass. All right. Celtic warhounds, badass. Mercenary Syrian armored elephants, badass. Wolf warriors, badass. Sobek cultists. Yeah, badass. Mercenary leopard warriors, badass. Yeah. I think this is worth $1. Seriously, it's $1. And it'll give you some cool little toys to play with. Now, there are some absolutely ridiculously bad units in here, like the beehives and the scorpion pots. Okay? And the snake pots. These are basically jokes. So that kind of hurts this DLC a little, but it's $1. So I do recommend it. Same with Daughters of Mars. It's another unit pack that adds like a bunch of woman warriors. This one is probably a little bit better than the other one, but I still think you should just get both for $2. I know it kind of feels gross paying for units, but I don't know. It's just it's so cheap on sale right now that I don't feel that bad recommending it, honestly. Black Sea Colonies. Do I recommend it for $3? Yes, I do. This is a good culture pack, guys. You get 3 factions: Cimmeria, which is a Greek faction; the Pergamon, which is another Greek faction, starts in like Anatolia, modern Turkey, and then you get the Colchis, which is a Eastern faction that starts near the Black Sea, I think. It starts kind of like near the steppes a little bit. Here's the good things about this culture pack. Unlike the Greek states culture pack, this culture pack, the factions actually feel distinct from one another. Cimmeria has a blend of like nomadic and Greek units. It's really cool. You spawn on like the edge of the known worlds kind of thing, and you're just surrounded by not horde. I wish they were hordes. Nomadic factions. So you kind of feel like you're on the edge of the world when you play them. They have some really cool units like the Cimmerian Heavy Archers, which have two-handed spears as backup weapons. Really cool stuff. They have like this blend Scythian and Hellenic hoplite unit in the form of Scythian hoplites. They're cheaper and worse than typical hoplites, but they still can hold the line. Yeah, I enjoy this DLC. Pergamon is kind of like a little bit more generic, but they have some they're pretty much Greeks, but with some low-tier barbarian units as well. But definitely the least good faction is Colchis, for sure. They're like Armenia, but worse. That's the problem. They kind of hold this DLC down. Otherwise, yeah, I do think it's worth $3. Wrath of Sparta. Is this worth $6? No, it's not. Sorry, guys. Hate to say it. All right, Wrath of Sparta is a campaign map that transports you into the Peloponnesian War. So like 430 something BC. And I'm a huge like enjoyer of Peloponnesian War history. But this DLC, excuse me, is a freaking snooze fest, guys. When I tell you that every single faction other than Sparta has the same roster, I'm not kidding. There is only one unique unit that other than the Spartans, and that is the Theban Hippeus cavalry unit for the Boeotian League. Otherwise, you have literal copy-paste rosters for Corinth, for Athens, and for the Boeotian League. They don't even have unique skins. And hoplite on hoplite warfare with no siege weapons is just grind upon grind upon grind. I hate to say it, but I don't recommend it. Now, if we were talking about mods, that changes things, because there is a great mod for this DLC called Demetrios Poliarchites, made by Gyros Meister, who is currently in the chat, I believe, unless he left already, that transports it to the Wars of the Diadochi and makes the DLC way better. But we're not talking mods right now. We're just talking vanilla. And vanilla, definitely not. I would recommend Caesar and Gaul over this DLC. It's pretty bad. Empire Divided is a massive campaign pack that is on sale for 66% off and costs $5.77. Do I recommend it for that price? Yes, absolutely, I recommend it. So remember in the beginning of this Rome 2 section, I talked about how Rome 2 has 2 full-size grand campaigns. Well, this is another full-size grand campaign. It transports you to the crisis of the 3rd century, where Rome is like on the verge of collapse. It's in a huge civil war. I mean, what else is new, right? It's just Roman history. And you get, what, 3 playable Roman factions? You get Marcus Aurelius, you get Tetricus, and you get Palmyra down in Egypt. And each Roman faction has a unique roster. They're not copy paste, guys. So like the Gallic Rome faction has longsword legionaries. Marcus Aurelius has like your traditional Roman legionaries, and then like Palmyra has like spear Eastern influenced legionaries. It's really cool, and it's really fun fighting other Roman factions. I just really get a kick out of it. The only problem with this DLC is that the barbarian factions and like the Sassanids are not really fun to play. This is definitely play this if you want to play the Romans type of DLC. That's the big thing holding it back. But I still think it's definitely worth the $6. This one, Hannibal at the Gates and Rise of the Republic are definitely the best campaign packs for Rome 2. Good night, Gavin. Thanks a lot for being here, man. Have a good Christmas. Desert Kingdoms Culture Pack. Is this worth $3? Well, first of all, it adds 4 factions instead of the usual 3. You get 4, as you would expect from the title, Desert Kingdoms. You get Meroe, which is a kingdom of Kush. That's like Axum from Total War Attila's Empire of Sands. You get the Nabateh in Arabia. You get the Saba, also in the Arabian Peninsula. And you get Numidia, who are south of Carthage. Now, do I think it's worth the $3? Absolutely. This is by far the best culture pack for this game, for sure. It costs the same amount as the other culture packs, but you get an extra faction, and each faction has a fully fleshed out roster. So for like Meroe, you get spice, like two-handed, not two-handed, sorry. I'm thinking of the Empire of Sand, Axum. You get these, not Kopesh. They have these like really cool sickle sword guys, okay? You get slave infantry and these really cool sickle sword, armor-piercing swordsmen. They're a ton of fun to use. And then if you play as like the Numidians, you get like Numidian legionaries and stuff. And there's also like pikemen, like desert pikemen and desert hoplites. It's really cool, guys. I definitely recommend this culture pack. Hades Death God asks, have you talked about Troy yet? Yes, I have. I said that I liked Troy, but I don't recommend it at its current price. It's too expensive. All right, last but not least, we have Rise of the Republic campaign pack. What this mod does, or excuse me, what this DLC does is it adds in a new campaign set in the Italian peninsula during the early days of the Roman Republic, when its greatness was not guaranteed. You play as, I think it's Camillus, and you're fighting you're surrounded on all sides by enemies. You know, unlike in vanilla, playing as Rome in this DLC is really tough. All right, you don't get like the cool good units until the end of the game. Like you don't get the good Hastati and Principe and Triarii until the end. You're using like trash units in the beginning. This campaign feels very much like Shogun 2's main campaign feels like. It's a mad dash. Everyone's out to kill everyone else. It's very aggressive. Diplomacy is really non-existent. It's fun. I definitely recommend this DLC. I love the fact that you can play as the Etruscans, and the fact that like there's more than one Celtic faction to play as, and they play differently from each other. Yeah, I think this is a really solid campaign pack. I put it in the S tier in my DLC tier list. I definitely think it's worth the $6 that they're asking. I know it has mixed reviews, but I recommend it. Sam Rester says, Desert Kingdom seems more detailed than the other culture packs, or is it just me? Yeah, it's totally, it's way more detailed. Desert Kingdoms was made by CA Sophia, the same people who made Empire Divided, Rise of the Republic, and Total War Saga Troy. And I wish that CA Sophia had been developing DLC for Rome 2 for years before they ended up doing it, because the quality jump is massive. Those Bulgarian boys and girls are not being paid enough, okay? Because the quality is just there. L.A. Ingram says, show tell. Yeah, that's what I was talking about with the curved swords. that the Kingdom of Kush gets in the Desert Kingdoms Culture Pack. So that's my thoughts on Rome 2 and its DLC. $15, definitely worth it for the base game. None of this DLC is required, guys. You get a ton of content for your $15. I love Rome 2. You might not like it, but I really like it. So it gets my full-throated recommendation. And if you especially if you're not opposed to using mods. All right, let's see what we have next. Total War Saga Fall of the Samurai. Let's skip this one first and do the base game first. Shogun 2. Okay, Total War Shogun 2. I mentioned earlier the cult tier list, where the most cultish fans are Shogun 2 fans, in my opinion, in my experience. But that doesn't say anything about the quality of the game, because Shogun 2 is a fantastic game. Absolutely. It deserves the praise it gets. I don't think that it's like beyond reproach and is just this holy grail. I can't do the monoculture games anymore, and it has 0 unit diversity. However, as a tight, bug-free, relatively Total War experience, yeah, it's really good. Shogun 2 is a beautiful looking game. It has beautiful music. It's got a great art style. It's just a classic. It's a classic. Is it worth $750? Absolutely. Absolutely. If you are even remotely curious what this game is all about, I definitely recommend it. Now, let's check the DLC real quick. The Hattori Clan Pack for $1.20. Honestly, I don't really recommend it. The only clan pack that I recommend is the Otomo, because they... Oh, sorry. No. In this order, I recommend the Iko Iki and then the Otomo. The Iko Iki are awesome. They have their own unique religion. They have their own unique units. And the Otomo have early access to gunpowder units. So the issue with Shogun 2 is its lack of variety. Like, once you've played a campaign, you've pretty much played the game. However, with the Iko Iki and the Otomo, it kind of expands that a little bit, because you can play like a base game faction like the Date or the Shimazu, and then you can play the Otomo for that gunpowder Christian experience, and then you can play the Iko Iki for that fanatic peasant experience. Sorry, fanatic like warrior monk experience. And then you get that expands your like potential for variety quite a bit with just those two. So I do recommend both of them. I don't recommend the Hattori. It's just edgy ninjas. It's not that cool. Rise of the Samurai. People sleep on this DLC. It's not the best, but for $2.50, I think it's worth it. I think it's worth checking it out. It kind of has like a little bit of a Game of Thrones feel, where you have these 3 houses and their spheres of influence. I only played it a few times, but it's only $2.50. I think it's worth checking out. The unit packs, I mean, I guess these are worth it. It's only 74 cents. Let me refresh my memory and see what you get here. Oh, Bulletproof Samurai, Marathon Monks, Hand Mourners, Heavy Gunners. Okay, yeah, these are worth it. Again, it feels bad to pay money. Oh, like Long Yari Ashigaru for the Oda. Yeah, it feels bad to pay money for units. Like, it feels kind of cringe, but I think it's worth it because it's just so dirt cheap. Yeah, that's pretty much my opinion on it. Wait, what's the Dragon Battle Pack? Oh, it's like historical battles? I don't know. Have I played this? Yeah, I own it. I don't know. I can't recommend this because I don't remember what it adds. And then again, we have another unit pack. Which again, 75 cents. I think it's worth it. If you're going to buy the game anyway, you might as well just get these. Just to have the most variety you can. Shogun 2 has a bad unit variety problem, but so you want to do anything you can to alleviate that. One thing that Shogun 2 really has going for it, though, again, is the mods. There's a Lord of the Rings mod currently in development that changes the campaign map even. There is a Victorian era mod in development, although I think that's for Fall of the Samurai. So let's just move on to Fall of the Samurai now. Yeah, Shogun 2, in conclusion, is definitely worth it. Fall of the Samurai is originally, and it's a standalone expansion for Shogun 2 that transports the time, that fast forwards the clock to the Boshin War in the mid to late 19th century. It's basically The Last Samurai, the game. You have the blend between the old ways and the new, like, modernized repeating rifle type of warfare. You get cannons, you get breech loading cannons, you get ironclads, you have off-map artillery you can call in. This game does not have nearly the problem that Shogun 2 has when it comes to unit variety and gameplay variety. Shogun 2 gets my absolute full-throated recommendation. Playing this game, Shogun 2 Fall of the Samurai. Playing this game back in 2012 when it came out was a game changer for me. It made me so excited for a World War I Total War and a Victorian era Total War. Yeah, this DLC does not, this is the best part, guys. It doesn't require Shogun 2 to play, okay? But if you own both, they combine. And you can use, like, mix and match in custom battles. Fall of the Samurai units against Sengoku Jidai units, dude. This expansion rules, okay? Highly recommend it. It's just a ton of fun blowing up giant blobs of infantry with Armstrong cannons. Okay, that just puts a smile on anyone's face. And, of course, Gatling guns. Okay, Total War Napoleon and Total War Empire. It's probably best to talk about these. All right, well, let's start again with the base game and then go to the quote-unquote standalone expansion. So Total War Empire was the first game made on the Warscape engine, and it kind of shows. This game feels awful to play. That said, I still put 412 hours into it because what it is, it takes place in the 18th century, like, you know, the age of colonization and stuff like that. You have ships of the line, as you can see, like real legit, like Pirates of the Caribbean naval battles, musket lines, and the map is huge. The map has 3 theaters. You have the Indian subcontinent, you have Europe proper, and you have the Americas. It's a piece of the Americas, but it's the Americas. It sounds epic, and it is epic in terms of scale and ambition, but it's so buggy, guys. The AI is trash. It even has, like, bugs where, like, game-breaking bugs called the Ottoman turn bug, where the Ottomans will spam a bunch of tiny little stacks, and it will just freeze your game, and you'll never get past the Ottoman turn. This game has some awesome mods for it, like Darth Mod, but just for a vanilla experience, I hate to say this, but honestly, I don't recommend it. I want an Empire 2 or like a really cleaned up remastered Empire, but the way Empire is in its current state, I don't recommend it. Let's go to I guess I should go into the DLC here. Wait, where's the DLC? Oh, they don't sell the DLC. It's just included. Okay, that's cool. There's an so I guess we don't even really need to talk about it then. There was a DLC campaign set in North America that had to do with the Native Americans resisting colonization, which is really cool. But yeah, you don't have to worry about that because it's included in the game now. Total War Napoleon Definitive Edition. When this came out, it really grinded my gears, okay? Because this is the same problem that Attila has, where it should not have been its own game. This game feels like an expansion to Empire. However, it is so small in its scope. So you get one sort of grand campaign, and it only takes place in Europe. It's like kind of like a little bit bigger than the Age of Charlemagne map. And you can only play a handful of factions. It's like the French, obviously, the British, the Prussians, the Austrians, and the Russians, I think. Maybe there's 1 or 2 other factions I'm forgetting. But that's the problem. This game has no replayability on the campaign compared to Empire. The scope is so small. However, this game actually plays. Like, the moment-to-moment gameplay is much more satisfying in Napoleon. It's smoother. It just feels better. The units are more responsive. They don't have to, every single man doesn't have to line up perfectly in line before they actually start shooting. There is a lot of little engine improvements that are in this game that just drive me crazy because I wish that those engine improvements were in Empire. So, like, that said, I think I'd have to recommend Napoleon over Empire, honestly. I can't. It hurts because, like, playing both of them individually, you're really lacking something. You play Empire, you really lack like the mechanical tightness. But when you play Napoleon, you really lack that big scale and global conflict feeling. So I don't play either of these games anymore, honestly. I'm waiting patiently for a new Gunpowder Total War game. So yeah, that's my thoughts on these two games. Let me check chat here. Cloaky asks, which games have you shown so far? Almost every single one. We're getting close to the end here. Yeah, we're actually at the end here. Sam Rester says, Darth Mod really ups Empire's playability. I agree. I would say at least half of my hours in Empire, half of my 400 hours were in Darth Mod. There's also a cool American Civil War mod for Empire. But I'm telling you guys, I went back and played it recently, and it is clunky. Okay? It has not aged well. All right. Rome Total War Collection. You can't buy it anymore, so that answers that question. You do get... This is the original game from 2004 with no improvements or whatever for like the remaster. You can only get this now if you buy the remaster. So that answers that question. Medieval 2 Total War... Wait. Does the definitive edition come with kingdoms? Yeah, it does. Okay, so we'll just talk about Medieval 2 Total War Definitive Edition, because there's no reason to buy kingdoms. Yeah, I get the same thing. I'm kind of confused here. Am I Pepega? All right, we're just gonna pretend they're the same thing. Okay, Medieval 2 Definitive Edition. Yeah, overwhelmingly positive. This is a game that has some of the coolest Total War mods that you can possibly play. As you might expect, it takes place in the Middle Ages. It plays a lot like Rome Total War played, with some slight differences here and there. Like you have a town and a castle system instead of just everything is a town. There's crusades and jihads and things like that. That being said, it does feel... I have my problems with Medieval 2, guys. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to piss in some Cheerios right now. My issues with Medieval 2 started when the game first came out, okay? I started Total War with Medieval 1, then I played Rome Total War, absolutely loved both of the games, and then Medieval 2 came out, and I was like, oh god, I'm not really liking this as much. Here's why. Medieval 2 compared to Rome 1 and Medieval 1. Medieval 2's battles are absolute molasses, like the Great Boston Molasses Flood just spilled over every single battlefield in that game. Your troops are not responsive. They like fan out into just these like clumpy formations, and they walk like they have sticks in their asses. It's just... And cavalry are buggy and don't respond to charge orders, where like sometimes they'll just leave their lances in the air, just walk into the enemy formation, and they don't get the charge bonus. Absolutely infuriating when that happens. It doesn't have the dark, gritty, gloomy atmosphere of Medieval 1 that I loved so much. Now, it does have an amazing soundtrack. Let me just say that, okay? And it has some awesome, cheesy voice acting that I love. But on the battlefield, I preferred Rome 1. And on the campaign, I preferred Medieval 1. But I'm an old piece of crap, all right? So your mileage may vary. Still, I don't think the game has aged that good in terms of controls. The camera feels super bad to use by today's standards. It needs a remaster. I hope they remaster it like they remastered Rome Oh my god, how many times am I going to say remastered? I hope they remaster it. It needs one. That said, I mean, is it worth $6.25? Yeah, it's worth it. This game has some awesome mods. Lord of the Rings, Warhammer, things like that. You know, Zelda. There's some insane total conversion mods. Westeros, like Game of Thrones Total War. So it's worth it just to see that, for that hit of nostalgia, and to see what the hype is all about, and to play some really cool mods. Just be warned that you're going to be fighting with the camera quite a bit. We don't need to talk about Kingdoms because it comes with the game, apparently. But Kingdoms is an expansion for Medieval that... or DLC, I guess, by today's standards, that adds in some standalone campaigns and some quality of life fixes to the grand campaign. Like, two-handed units in the base game were broken, but you don't need to know any of this because they're just this, you know, you're never gonna not have Kingdoms now. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on Medieval 2. All right. And that does it. We have covered every single Total War game and their DLCs. Thank you guys so much for being here. Let me just take a look at the chat some more and see if you guys have any last minute thoughts, concerns, questions. Dix Insider says, Compy, let's be real. No Total War game is worth it for the vanilla experience. CA are total amateurs compared to the modding community. Yeah, I wouldn't say that's necessarily true. Some of the Total War games are perfectly playable vanilla. Shogun 2, perfectly playable vanilla. Attila, surprisingly, perfectly playable vanilla. Warhammer 2, also perfectly playable vanilla. Napoleon, playable vanilla. But like Empire, no. Rome 2, no. Rome 1, no. Yeah, and Medieval 2, yeah, you need mods. Stainless steel, things like that. Someone was asking, is Attila worth it with no DLC? Yes, it is. It definitely is. Hades, my recap on Attila is that it's worth it for the 1130 that they're asking for it. Three Kingdoms, yes, it's worth the money that they're asking for it, in my opinion. Shioro, oh my god, how can I pronounce your name, my friend? Shiroi. We'll go with that. Shiroi. I haven't played any Total War apart from Medieval 2 for 56 minutes. Expected an RTS/WOC style camera, even a war game style camera, and spent the entire 56 minutes fighting it. Hey, fair enough. The cameras are different, but it's tough for me to go back to that old one, man. I feel like I'm, like you said, fighting the camera. Nico says, greetings from Philippines. How you doing, man? Thanks for being here. Hades says, I'm all vanilla for me. I'm not a mod fan, only if it changes the game entirely like Rise of Mordor. Fair enough. Super David says, I can only play one Total War, Rome 2, Attila, or Three Kingdoms. Are you asking, like, if you had to pick just one? I'm going to go with Rome 2. Hong Lei says, thank you. That was a very thorough explanation. Have a great day and happy holiday. Hey, thank you for being here, Hong Lei. I really appreciate it. And you as well. And a happy new year. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I hope you guys really enjoyed the live stream. I hope you have a happy holiday and a great new year. There's going to be great new things for the channel in 2022. So stay tuned. Yeah, but stay safe, everybody. And I will see you in the next one. Also, hello, Grey Tiger Games. I saw you at the end there. I'm doing well. You just caught us right at the end of the stream, so unfortunately.